Could Kirk Cousins be in line to have his career best season in 2023? Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell has his eyes set on that possibility. Last week he said, quote, "I'm just excited for year two for him, Kirk Cousins, in this offseason. My goal is for 2023 to be one of the best seasons of his career. And when that happens, it's going to be a great thing for the Vikings." Now, I think the main reason for him saying that was to deflect from the question of Kirk Cousins playing on the final year of his deal. But to his credit, Kevin O'Connell has always been a big public supporter of his quarterback. So just taking that quote at face value, his best season to date was 2021. He threw for over 4,200 yards, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. That was the last year of Mike Zimmer. The team, they went 8-8, but that wasn't on Kirk at all. He carried the Vikings that year. Could he top 2021? Sure he can. Now, as far as looking at the external forces, the supporting cast that needs to get better, you need sharper play calling from the head coach in year two. So last year, 2022, first quarter scoring, Vikings were top 10, second quarter 18th, third quarter 22nd, and then the fourth quarter, best in the league. So you got to tighten up the play calling in the middle of the games. Secondly, a quality wide receiver 2 is a must. So in 21, you had Justin Jefferson and a better version of Adam Thielen compared to what we saw last year. Now, he did miss 4 games that season, didn't have 1,000 yards, but he still had 10 touchdowns that year and was one of the better red zone threats in the league. 10 touchdowns in 2021 for Adam Thielen, 7 of which were inside the 20. You need to have a viable wide receiver 2. Offensive line, at this point, it's whatever. Having a better group up front would certainly help, but in 5 years in Minnesota, he's never had a good offensive line. Those are outside forces, things that are out of Kirk's control. As far as the man himself, he has all the talent to make every throw with pinpoint accuracy. The question or the criticism directed towards him has never been about his skill set, but more so his ability to lead, in particular, big games. And I don't care to go down that road anymore, talking about, well, you know, is the light switch finally going to turn on this time? I talked about that all last year, swearing up and down it would happen after the hiring of Kevin O'Connell just for the 2022 season to end with a 3-yard check down on 4th and 8. I will say, though, what I believe will make that a non-factor and why 23 could potentially be his best season, it's a contract year. And not only is it a contract year, but the following season after, when he's 36, that next deal that he signs, realistically speaking, is going to be the last opportunity that he gets to cash out at top market value. That will motivate anyone, because after that, if he chooses to continue playing, you're looking at backup QB jobs taking a massive pay cut compared to what you're used to right now. This is it. I could see Kirk being super aggressive next season, and as long as he has a legit wide receiver 2 with better play calling by the head coach, I could see 2023 easily being his career best season. Let him sign for $50+ million a year next March. And staying on Kirk, according to Mike Florio, the idea of a Cousins trade to San Francisco was a topic of conversation in Indianapolis. His exact words were, quote, "Apparently at the scouting combine, there was some chatter, there was some noise among people within the broader league structure, not media, but people in the league, about Cousins being traded to the 49ers. That was a hot topic at one point in Indianapolis." My reaction to that is, it's interesting, but that's about it. Interesting from the standpoint of, as Florio pointed out, we're not talking about media members. This is people that work within the National Football League. Front office executives. It just goes to show it doesn't matter who you are. Everybody recognizes that Kirk playing in San Francisco under Kyle Shanahan makes all the sense in the world to everybody, with the exception of 49ers fans because they don't want him at all. But to be honest, I don't think this is anything worth raising hell about because it was left so vague. People within the league, not trade talks between the Vikings and the Niners, people within the league. So this could have been the Ravens talking to the Panthers or the Dolphins talking to the Cardinals. It doesn't mean anything at all. David Ditter says, 3 firsts and a 2024 third for pick 3 and Anthony Richardson. All right, man. I personally don't see the hype behind Richardson or Will Levis for that matter, but if you're going to put all your chips into that degree, then he better be a superstar in the making. Nothing short of that. If it all goes to hell, everybody's getting fired. There's no way you can come back from that. Woo. Listen, guys, I really screwed up that one, but I'm going to make up for it this time, I swear. Richard Stett says, I love your podcast, but we need to focus on the offensive line. I agree with you, but if I'm going to talk, I'm just so over talking about it. It's just year after year after year. Offensive line. Can we make the O-line better? I'm tired of talking about it, especially because whether it's Rick Spielman in his tenure with the Vikings or Kwesi Adolfo-Menzel right now, especially after re-signing Garrett Bradbury, it seems like they're not going to do anything about it. So if I'm going to talk about the offensive line, it's going to be from the standpoint of what would I do as the Vikings GM. I'm trying to keep it more focused on what it appears that the Vikings are going to do. And the interior offensive line, it appears right now that it's going to remain the same. And lastly, Will Baum says, trade back and still no cornerback in the first 4 picks. Dude, ... Have you not been paying attention? I made it to 3.5 minutes. See, this is what I don't understand. First off, Will, thank you for watching. But also, we literally just drafted Andrew Booth Jr. and a Caleb Evans last year. You just signed Byron Murphy this offseason. He can play slot and or outside depending on the matchups. But as it pertains to Booth and Evans, after just 1 year, we're going to throw in the white towel on their development for a position that's hard as hell to figure out initially. But all right, screw it. Let's say the Vikings, they draft Deontay Banks out of Maryland or Clark Phillips out of Utah. Okay, fine. If the front 7 is anything remotely close to the same as we saw in 22, but this time in 23, the pass rush, they can't get after the quarterback, not consistently anyway. The defensive line, they can't generate pressure worth a damn. And the corners, they're out there running cardio in between snaps. Then what are we going to do next offseason? Should we throw it all in the trash and start over, go corner early and often in the 2024 draft? Build the trenches first, and everything else will take care of itself.